Alright, welcome back to the channel. I'm here to do an in real life deck profile. I've never done one of these before, and a lot of people actually request it, even though I pretty much use this deck all the time on like Dueling Book. I've been playing this deck basically all year. Got top 4 at Nationals, top Deck Devastators 4, topped a couple in real life tournaments for like cash prizes and all types of stuff like that. So it has been doing really well for me in 2023, and I definitely would say that this is the deck that's like most synonymous with me as a player now. There's even people who call this the God list, like the Hero Frog deck that I essentially have been pioneering all year. And I see that it's been winning a lot of tournaments now online. It just won Peak of the Beak 4, and there was another one in Format Library that it just won as well. So yeah, I've been happy to see that it has a lot of success. It's very easily my favorite deck. I feel very confident when I'm playing it, and I was able to actually win the Giant Black Rose, the same one that a True Hero won in Nationals. I won that one at RBET Moreno Valley. So I think that's really cool because now everyone in top 4 of Nationals basically has won a Black Rose Dragon Giant card. So that's actually really cool how like in a weird way, like we all got that prize at the end of the day. So I'm really happy about that. I talked to a True Hero about it, and I was like, it's just crazy to me that that actually happened. But yeah, the event was amazing. Like I had a really good time in California, despite the fact that there was like a hurricane and all that stuff coming. The event ran really smoothly. I know Keegan mentioned this on the stream, but I did bet him $100 that the tournament would not be done before 10 p.m. Like we would not have a champion before 10 p.m. and the tournament did not end until like 11 something. So I ended up winning that bet. So yeah, shout out to Keegan. Thank you so much for housing me and having me in Monster Gamer Gabe. Nice meeting him. Yeah, this was a really good event though. I'm a big fan of like the RBETs and basically everything that Keegan has been helping to do for the community. So yeah, but I want to show you guys a deck list that I used to actually get the giant card. So without further ado, let's just get into that. Okay, so first we have the Frog package. So 3 Swap, 3 Substitutes, 2 Treeborns, 2 Dupe Frogs, and I actually decided to run Unifrog this event. I wasn't playing this really before in the main deck because I felt like there were a lot more decks that it wasn't that good against, but now I think Hero Beat is definitively the most popular deck in the format, and also this is a searchable out to Whirlwind, which I really like to have game 1 against Blackwings because that matchup is kind of horrible. So yeah, Unifrog helps with that, and the only time it's really bad is if you play against a deck that doesn't really set back row, but I feel like most of the decks at Edison actually do play black row, so you can get away with playing the Unifrog. It's also weirdly an out to like oppression if you have a Dupe Frog that just sat there and you summon it, and I just like that play in general. So yeah, this was the 11th Frog, and I did not feel bad about playing it. Like I think he was fine in games 1 and stuff, and it also gives you something to do to push your advantage when your opponent tries to just not really commit to the field but sets a back row. So yeah, I really like Unifrog for that. Next we have the Hero package. So this is the 5 that I've been playing for a while now, and it looks like everybody else is following suit. So basically you have one of all these different heroes, and they all serve a different purpose. So obviously Stratos being the best of them, and then Alias, I added this because I wanted E-Call to be dead less often. When I did top the one event earlier in the year, I didn't play Alias, I just played these 4, and then E-Call and Reinforcement of the Army. But the problem was that I would draw E-Call kind of later in the game, and then I wouldn't have anything to search with it. So now E-Call can search 3 different cards, and this is also a Rhoda target, so now Rhoda can get like any of these 3 plus Junk Synchron, which I really like. So it's like you play 2 Junk Synchrons at that point. This is a searchable like tribute summon. I think that's really important in this deck. So people talk about how the deck only plays 4 Monarchs, but this is kind of like a 5th one, and it's searchable, which I think is huge. And it also beats over Absolute Zero. It beats over Stardust Dragon. It beats over opposing Monarchs. So Moisture Edge is really good. This guy you just kind of want to open with it. And if you open with this and Substitute, it's like Wombo Combo. You'll actually see that in the finals match that I had to win the giant card. The other thing about Inferno Project that I really like though is that when you open Stratos and you don't have access to Treeborn Frog in your hand, you search out this guy if you have a Monarch in your hand, because if something were to happen to the Stratos, this is basically a way to still get out a Monarch. So I really like Inferno Prodigy, and I don't want to cut him. And then Ocean is like the most important hero out of basically all of them except Stratos, because this one is a water monster, and the value that you get from discarding it with Swap Frog to special summon is really big. And then obviously the ability to reuse Stratos and maybe pop back row and stuff like that, that does come up as well. And just the threat of it will make your opponent play their cards, which is what Monarchs want. So yeah, this is the standard like list right now, and I don't really want to change anything about this part of the deck. Next we have 3 Caius, 1 Ryza. So these are the 4 Monarchs that I actually do play. I have tried to up the Monarch count before, but the reality is that you can only normal summon once per turn, and every additional normal summon you have in your hand is a -1. So if you look at your opening hand and your hand is like 2 Caius, a Ryza, Stratos, enemy controller, and something else like, I don't know, Substitute, like you can only choose one of those things to do, and every other card in your hand is just a minus. So the less you have of that, the less chances you have of bricking and clogging up. And so yeah, I only play 4. Monarchs are also reusable. It seems like people, when they talk about the low Monarch count, they kind of forget that this is the one deck in the format that can like reuse all of its normal summons. Like you can just bounce them to your hand, and that does come up a lot. Like it's a very common thing to bounce a Monarch. So I don't know, if you learn how to play the Frog deck correctly, I don't think that you're going to be suffering from not having enough Monarchs. I just think that that is like one of the most amateur takes ever, that the deck needs more Monarchs, but to each his own, I guess. And then I do play the one Joint Synchron. I used to play more copies of this, but same thing. It's a normal summon. You can only do one of it. I technically play 2 because of reinforcement of the army. I really don't ever find myself needing more than one. Like the 1 is a blowout. It's very good to open this with 1 for 1, and there's a lot of benefits to Junk Synchron. But again, like you can only do 1 normal summon per turn, so I didn't want that to clog my hand. I've had many games in the past where when I was playing multiple copies of this, I would draw them in the opening. And this card is good if you're already playing the game, but like it assumes that you are already playing the game. So that's kind of annoying about it, is that it doesn't do anything if you're not already set up. So just the 1 is nice, and then you play Rhoda for 2, and that's good enough. As for the defensive package, we got 3 Battle Faders and 1 Gores. These are just, to me, like pretty mandatory. The deck doesn't have that much defense, so these cards, your opponent will not really know if you have them, and they always have to think about, if you have the Fader and they overextend, they know that you can Miracle Fusion or Monarch or Enemy Controller to crack back. And so making sure that you do have the Fader and have the Gores and stuff like that is very, very important. And if you noticed, like I ended up drawing a Fader in my round 1 feature match on stream. And that was a really big deal because at the time, my zombie opponent decided to finally go for game, even though he probably should have done it earlier. And when he did, I ended up having a Battle Fader. Now, I do play 3 copies of it, so like there's basically a 40% chance that I have one in my hand in the opening. And every turn after that, that increases, right? So like, it's not really sacking if your Frog opponent draws Battle Fader, to be honest. Like, they play 3 of it. They probably play 3 of it. They should be playing 3 of it. The card is insane, though. I really, really like it. For a while, I've been debating about Threatening Roar versus Battle Fader, but I do like that your opponent cannot tell if you have the Fader. So that's really big. And it also combos really well with 1 for 1, Junk Synchron and all that stuff. And it's also randomly tribute fodder for those games where you just don't actually have access to Treeborn Frog, which unfortunately they do come up. So yeah, Battle Fader is really, really good. As for the spells, we have 3 Miracle Fusions. This is obvious. This is like right now, honestly, one of the best cards in the format, maybe the best card in the format. It's so good. I don't really have to say much about it. You guys know what it is. Double Econ, because Brain Control is the best card in the format, and so I figure why not just play 3 copies of it. I was playing 3 enemy controllers in the past. I cut it down to 2. I see some lists cut it down to 1. I think all of it's fine. Like, you can do whatever you want with the number of econs you play. I do think that is a very strong card, but like I can justify all the ratios with this thing, because when you are playing the game, this card is outrageous. So yeah, it's really, really good. And then it can do other stuff like put stuff in attack mode for game. But yeah, and then another card that kind of like pseudo steals your opponent's monster, Soul Exchange, just the 1 copy. I like teching the 1 copy in the main deck. This is something that I just came up with this year that I really, really enjoy. And it combos well with Substitute, turn 1, especially when you go second. Like, this is an insane card going second with a Monarch or with Substitute. And I don't really want to see more than one of it, so I just played the 1 copy. But yeah, these are all like pretty standard now. 1 Rhoda, 1 E-Call. So that way you have 3 copies of Stratos in your deck. Stratos is the best normal summon in the format. That is just so blatantly obvious to everyone now. Like, it is just Stratos. So the fact that this deck plays 3 copies of Stratos is really, really big. It means that it plays like all the best normal summons. And I think Swap Frog is one of the best normal summons in the game. I think Substitute is one of the best normal summons in the game. I think Junk Synchron is one of the best normal summons in the game. And Stratos being the best one. I might actually do a video on just like the best normal summons, and that's in like the top 10. But yeah, Stratos is number 1, and this is ensuring that you play 3 copies of it, so you always have access to the best normal summon in the game. Then Heavy, MST, and 1 for 1. To me, like, these are basically all staples. Sometimes I don't play MST. It really depends on how I feel about the meta. Like, if I think that there's going to be, again, more decks that MST isn't that good against, like Christia Sworn or something, or even in the mirror match, it's really not that good. But right now, again, it's a hero beat meta. It's still Blackwing heavy and stuff like that. So MST is really good, and Oppression is good against this deck. So I feel like MST is good right now to have. 1 for 1. I don't know how people ever make a Frog deck without playing this card, but this card is absolutely insane. Like, it's a 4th copy of Substitute, and it special summons it. Like, it is crazy. It's an extender. Everything about this card is not okay. Like, if I could play more copies of it, I actually would. It is so good. 1 for 1. I've never made a Frog deck without it. It just, yeah, this card's insane. And then I have 2 Raigeki breaks and 1 Trap Dust Shoot. really happy to have this in the super rare copy. I had to pay a pretty amount. Shout out to my friend Royce for selling it to me a while ago, but yeah, I was playing 3 Regeki breaks in the list at Nationals, and then I cut it down to 2 so that I can fit Unifrog in the main deck. As far as like, do I miss having a 3rd Regeki break? Maybe, because I do find myself sometimes being scared that I'm going to get OTK'd. So like, all the defense you can get that kind of also has synergy with the deck is a really good thing. And this card is great because when you draw those hands with multiple normal summons, it gives you a way to make use of them. And that's what kind of was missing from the build when I played it at Gladiators of Edison with Stango. It's like we played Triple Threatening Roar, and that was really good too, but then like if you needed to get a hero in the grave and you didn't have access to Ocean, you didn't have an easy way to guarantee that like you could use your extra normal summons or get a hero in the grave. So Regeki Break's really good at that. And if you're wondering why it's this over Wing Blast, it's just because there's so many things that you do not want to actually spend to the top of your opponent's deck in this format, like Dark Arm and JD, Whirlwind, and unless there's a specific scenario where like that's a good idea. But a lot of cards, you just want to get rid of them and not have to deal with them again. And when I was testing with Stango, we had a situation come up where he trapped Death Shoot at me and saw Wing Blast. And then he summoned Dark Arm Dragon and did not pop anything. It was just like attack. Like he summoned Goyo and Dark Arm and just started attacking me with them while I had Wing Blast. And that bothered me so much because I was like, damn, the fact that it's Wing Blast specifically, I'm losing the game right now because it's Wing Blast. Because if it was Regeki Break, he would be forced to at least pop something to get some value. Then I would just Regeki Break the Dark Arm and be done with it. But because it's Wing Blast, he's able to do this annoying ass play where it's like, I'm not popping anything because I'll just stay at 3 darks. I'm going to attack you for 56, and then you still have this awkward Wing Blast. So yeah, that situation and like other situations where I played against Lightsworn and like they summon JD and you Wing Blasted it, like that is not ideal, right? Like that is really, really bad. Same thing with like summoning Blizzards and stuff like that. It's just a lot of things that I don't like Wing Blast for. I get that it's good in the mirror match and stuff, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of it, so I choose to play Regeki Break over that. Okay, on to the side deck. So 3 DD Crow. This card, like I have a love-hate relationship with it. I rarely side it in, but like if I'm playing against zombies or the mirror match or something, then I'll put it in, or a deck that's just like really weirdly combo heavy. If I'm playing against Norlaris, there are a couple decks where like you want to have it, but for the most part, like I don't know. This I'm always scared of like Christia Swarm and stuff like that. And this card actually bones Christia Swarm pretty hard. But DD Crow is kind of just like a staple in the Frog side deck because it is an interaction that again your opponent can't see it coming, and it prevents the crazy decks from just again getting too crazy. So double Vanity's Fiend. This is just a staple side deck card for Frogs. Double Snowman Eater. To me, this is pretty staple now just because Hero Beat is the most popular deck in the format, and like this is one of the best cards to deal with their offense. It's also a water monster, so yeah. And then I played double Super Poly. So this card is mainly for Hero Beat, but randomly it's good against that Gemini deck, which I have a lot of respect for now after playing it in the finals. Super Poly is a card that I feel like, I don't know how it took this long for it to be sided in Edison format, but like I was one of the first people to really say, okay, I want to side deck multiple copies of this card, and now it looks like pretty much every Hero Frog player is doing the same thing. It's nuts in many cases. Like I think it's good in the mirror match, and there's going to be a lot more of those going forward, and I think it's also really good against Hero Beat. The fact that it can't be responded to is insane. The fact that it's quick play is insane. You can use it as a defense. It also makes the Diva Hero matchup like way easier. But yeah, it's one of the best cards in the format. It's the only card in the format really besides I think Spiritualism that you really can't respond to it, and it's even still played in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So Super Poly is cracked out. Then there's the 1 copy of Soul Exchange, so that brings the copies of Soul Exchange to 2. This is just for like games 2 and 3 where your opponent might put in DD Crows and Soul Release and stuff like that, and this just gives you more ways to still tribute even while you might not have Treeborn access. And then 2 Dust Tornadoes. I did try out Trap Stun. I saw that there were lists that played Trap Stun in the side deck. But for me, like one of the things that I don't like about Trap Stun is that it doesn't actually deal with some of the problems that this deck has. Like dealing with Whirlwind is a big deal. Being able to set Dust Tornado with Gores in your hand is one of my favorite plays. And like their opponent attacks and then you dust their back row and then you drop Gores. Like sure, it can be obvious that you have that play set up, but when it does happen, it's so strong. And then with Trap Stun, I realized, and it actually came up like the first time I sided Trap Stun, where I was playing against Stango, he's playing Hero Beat, and he had like 2 back row, and I had Trap Stun, and I had Gores, and I wanted to do that play, but like I was like, oh, this actually doesn't work the way I wanted to, because I would have to activate the Trap Stun, and then drop the Gores, but then I don't get any value out of it, so that really bothered me. I get that Trap Stun is good with Mobius, but I really didn't have any space for Mobius on my side deck, nor do I even think that Mobius is like that good. Like I think it's cool, but I don't really think it's like crazy or anything. But yeah, Dust Tornado just seems like enough for me. I like that it outs certain problematic cards. Also, like now that I see Ultimate Offering and how problematic that card is, this is another reason why Dust Tornado is really good. But and then I saw Torrential and Mirror Force. These cards are crazy. People, I don't know why, but like everyone now knows that, you know, I'm siding these cards, right? And pretty much every other Hero Frog player is doing the exact same thing where they're siding Torrential and Mirror Force or some combination of defensive traps. But people don't really play around them. I don't know what that is. Like, you know, in games 2 and 3 that I have these cards, but I swear, people see a back row and they just do not respect it in Frogs, and it makes these cards stronger than I think they actually are. Like, I think these cards are strong, but they're like god cards in games 2 and 3 because no one plays around them ever. Like, literally, people just summon Fossil Dyna or like summon another monster every single time. I always get a 2-for-1 every time with these. I've never 1-for-1 with these, and that's just crazy to me. Like, they always get more value. And it's because, I guess, Frogs historically haven't played these cards, but, like, it's been a good amount of time now where I feel like they should be expected, but it's still not happening. So, and then the one compulse. So I was actually going to play Mind Crush in a side deck just in case I played against Dragon Turbo. And I also thought that Mind Crush might be good in a mirror match, but I decided to leave all of my extra cards at home because I didn't want to really change my deck before the event or anything like that. So, and I also just didn't want to ask anyone for Mind Crush. I was like, fuck it, I'll just play the same side deck essentially from Nationals. Like, it's whatever. I'm not really too pressed about it. The Compulse is fine. Like, I think it's also pretty good in a mirror match. It deals with Vanity's Fiend. It also stops Soul Exchange. You can bounce your own Monarchs and stuff like that. So it's still a fine card, but I did want to at least try Mind Crush. I think that Dragon Turbo is getting obviously more popular. It also won the main event. So Mind Crush is a card that helps against that deck. It also helps against Christia Sworn. And yeah, so I still want to test out Mind Crush, but I didn't really get a chance to try it out at this tournament. Okay, and then for the extra deck, so we have Armory Arm, Catastor, Android, Junk Warrior, Brionic, Goyo Guardian, Black Rose, Colossal Fighter, Stardust Dragon, Mistworm. So I'll stop here. Everything else is like, you know, everything is basically standard, right? I play Mistworm. This is like the one flex spot in the extra deck. So some people play Flamvar or Curzius, the guy that tramples. He's a 6-star monster that tramples. I play Mistworm. I know some people play Mistworm because I play Mistworm. I have rarely, if ever, summoned Mistworm. I also have never summoned the Flamvel guy or needed to. This could be anything. Like, I think I'm just going to make it the 6-star guy because so far I've never had the ability to summon this, even though all you need to summon it is just stick a Stratos or an Alias or Brain Control or Enemy Controller, a 4-star monster, and then summon Junk Synchron and you have it right there. But, like, it just never comes up. I always say, though, if Mistworm comes up or if Flamvel or Curzius comes up, their game. Like, you're summoning it. Because think about what you could summon instead. Like, you could summon Brionic or Goyo Guardian instead. So anytime you're summoning this or the Flamvel guy, it's specifically because it's game, right? But those situations don't really occur that often. I just think that the Flamvel guy will occur more often because all you need for him is Treeborn Frog coming back, and then you summon Junk Synchron, bring back a 2, and then you can make the trample guy and attack. So because that can just happen more often than this, I'm probably just going to switch it to that. But I don't really play 2 Catastrophes anymore for the simple fact that, like, now I only play 1 Junk Synchron. So unless I'm stealing a tuner, I can't really make more than 1 of this. So that's kind of that. And then as for the fusion, so 3 Absolute Zero, of course, 1 Elemental Hero Gaia, and then I play this guy just because this is a super poly target. Any 2 Gemini monsters makes it, so it really cooks the Gemini deck if you do it at the right time. And also, if they ever have 2 Alias on the field, this can actually fuse 2 Alias, which is insane as well. So I like this guy, but yeah, that's the extra deck, and that's pretty much everything. Like, that is the full 70 cards. Got this sweet deck box from Amanda LaPalm at Mana Moon. I'm a big Tachi fan, so yeah, this is like one of my favorite things, and if you look at the way it looks when you open it, so I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but yeah, you can like see Itachi there, and he's one of my favorite characters from Naruto. But yeah, this is really cool, and then it has like these really cool dividers that actually have his Mangeki Sharingan. I think this is like a really nice detail. So yeah, if you are interested in this type of stuff, check out Mana Moon's website. Her designs are always absolutely insane, and I saw a lot of other people at the event with deck boxes from Mana Moon, so yeah. But alright, I hope you guys did enjoy this in real life deck profile. Maybe I'll do more of these and get more of these for you guys on the channel. If you like this type of thing, let me know. Give it a like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.